So we've created a blank home page. Index.html is also known as a home page. We can see the file that we've got here, and it's empty, 0 kilobytes, and we viewed it in a browser. There we go, and there's nothing on the page because there's nothing in the file. We've got this tab here saying that or where it lives on the web server. But that's not really very good for web pages. We need to be writing things on there and having things that we can click on and move around. But before we learn how to do all of that, we need to know the structure of what a web page is, and that's quite important. As you can see, a web page will just display with nothing in it, but we need to actually set out the rules and live to the rules of how a web page is made. So I'm going to take you through an empty web page. Again, it will have nothing on it, no content, but it will be a basic template for all the web pages that we use in future, particularly if it's got HTML on the end. So we start off with things called tags. Now, tags live between two angled brackets, and this one has an exclamation at the start, and then the word doc type, and doc type, and then HTML. Now that is telling the browser, all of these angled brackets are instructions to the browser what to do, and this is telling the browser that the version of HTML we're using is version 5. We will learn about other versions and what it means later in the course. We'll look at the history of how it all fits together. I think it's important that we do that so we appreciate what we've got now. So that is called a tag. Actually, these are also known as elements, and normally elements come in pairs. So what happens is we have a start tag and an end tag a little bit later on, and the difference between the two is that the end tag has a /. So in this case, we need to tell the browser that what follows is a web page, and that is called HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and we need to type HTML after our /. So that's the start and the end of my web page. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to refresh my browser each time to show you what is happening. If there was a problem, we might see it on the screen, or we might get an error message. At the moment, that is fine. One thing that a browser can do is, if you've got a screen reader, it can read out what is on the actual document. And we need to tell it what language we are using. So I'm going to use the word lang. Notice that's in red. And I'm going to say that that is in English. Okay, so if a screen reader came, or if you used a screen reader on this web page, it would know that the language we were using was English, and we could, it would speak in English. We could give it a dialect. Let's say we're American. We could put a hyphen and then US for American, so that would read it with a dialect of American, but we just need English at the moment. And again, saving it and refreshing our page shows us that we've made no errors. Now that is good practice to actually put that in, because a lot more happens beneath the scenes than you are aware of, which is why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to give the browser some help, some search engines some help, and screen readers some help, and you're not really aware that that's going on yet. That will be in the background. So that's my start of my web page and end of my web page, and the web page is in two parts. I'm going to start off with something called the head. There's my head, and I need a matching tag for the element of end head. Now this is further instructions to the browser. Okay, it does not appear on the page. Nothing here that I write between these two will appear on the page, but it will affect the browser in some way. And one of the ways it's going to affect it is with the next line. I'm going to put a title element, and I'm going to say template for the time being. And as I've started it, I need to end it. Now, some elements are double, like title, head, HTML, but this doc type was a single one. And we will discuss later about single ones, but really they do have an end as well. And if I just put the / there, that would say that's my start, that's my end. But there's only a single one. They're actually called empty elements, whereas these are not empty elements, they have things inside of them. Again, something we'll come to later. But now I've got a title. So what does this title do? Save it, refresh my browser, and I want you to keep your eye on this part here, where it's telling me the path to my file. That now becomes whatever I type in here. So if I typed hello, saved it and refreshed my browser, that's the title. So let's put it back to template, because really that's what we're doing. We are creating one file that we can use over and over again to save us having to type all of this out. Now, the second part of my web page is actually this large white area here where you normally see content, and that is called the body. Now, there's my start, and there's my end tag to give me the body element, and everything that appears between them will appear on the page. So let's save that first and refresh it. You can see nothing is there, but if I type hello between the body and the end body, save it, refresh my page, I get content on the page. So everything we type is going to be in the body of the document. I'm going to delete that for the time being and close it up because I'm almost finished. There's a couple more things I want to do in the head. This is giving instructions to the browser. And one of the instructions that I want to give it is what character set do I want it to use. Now again, that is sort of for screen readers and things like that. We know we're in English, but there's different character sets. I can use English, and I can use an ASCII character set, which has got around about only 128 characters. And I actually want to use the same character set that I'm using for Notepad++, which you can see down here is UTF-8. Now that contains a few more than 128. It contains thousands of characters, Chinese, Japanese, Hebrew. All of the characters are available at some point using this character set, and I want to tell my browser to actually use it, because if I don't, it will limit itself to just the 128 characters, which we might not be able to do certain things. So start off with a tag called meta, which stands for metadata, and metadata is data about data. So this is telling the browser about what the data is. And I need a character set, so char set. Char is short for character, and the whole thing is short for character set, equals, and in speech marks, UTF-8, all lowercase. All of these tags and elements that I'm using are lowercase. Don't use uppercase, don't mix the case. And this is in lowercase. I know this is in uppercase here, but we need to type it in lowercase there, and we need an end bracket. And meta is another single tag. Okay, so really, truthfully speaking, we should finish it with a /. I'm not going there at the moment. I'm going to leave that to some explanation later. I want one more line just to finish off my basic template file. And at the moment, this is good for viewing on... Oh, let me just refresh that. Why have I still got hello? I didn't save my work. There we go. This is a normal computer with a normal computer screen, but really when I try to view my web pages on a mobile phone, they can look not just odd, but so small I can't see the links or the writing. And we can change how a web page appears. So if it's on a computer in a web browser, it will appear one way, but if it's on a phone, it can change itself and make it usable. And if I give it yet another meta tag, so it's data about the data that's coming. Now on a computer we call it a screen, but if I'm thinking about different devices, phones, TVs, Xbox consoles, we call them viewports. So viewport is just another word for a screen. So this is data about the screen. And what I want to do is for the content, which is the body of the document, if remember I've used the word content before, I want to set that width. So I'm going to say that the width is equal to whatever device I'm using, that width. So it's going to adjust itself to the width of a device. So a TV, jumbotron screen, a sports stadium, or a watch, all of those got different widths, and we've just told it to adjust itself at those widths. And one more thing that I need to do, because the screens might be different, we can zoom in or we can zoom out, and I'm going to start off with my initial zoom. Actually it's called initial scale, -scale. I'm going to set that to 1, so that when it first loads into a device, it's at normal size. Again, we can change that in our web page. We can make it larger or we can make it smaller, but we're going to start off at 1. So that really, I need to stretch my page a little bit, that really is the basic template of a web page. This is what you should start with each and every time. So I'm going to save it and run it. There you go, we've got our template. But just to make sure, at the moment we've got index here. The problem is every time I try and write something, I will probably overwrite my template, which will mean I have to type all of this out again. Perhaps if I just save this a couple of times, or save a copy as, and instead of calling it index, call it template, and click save. Now, I've got a file that I can begin with each and every time and rename it, so I don't have to keep typing all of this. So I've got 2 files. So let me just show you those 2 files. Let's open this one again. Open the template. So I've got index here and I've got template there. They're identical. We've just saved them. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change the title of the index file to be homepage. There we go. And I'm going to give some instructions so that we can see something on the screen. This is the homepage. So there we go. I've got a title of homepage. This is the homepage. So I'm editing the template that I started out with. Save it, but I'm making sure I don't overwrite my original template, so I can use that in further files. And the way I would do it is probably just highlight it all, press Ctrl C to copy, file, new, paste it all in there. Oops, Ctrl V, and file, save that as, let's call this one page 2.html. There we go, we get all of our colour back. We can see now we've got page 2, and I can just change the title to page 2 and maybe give some indication on the page that I'm on the second page, and save it. So let's take a look at these quickly before I stop. I know it's been a long video, but this is quite important. So if I refresh my browser, it's going to go to the home page. There we go. Now it's telling me the home page on web server 25. It's nice. It's got the message, this is the home page. which is exactly what we had in index. And I'm going to look at page 2 now. Now, remember, if I don't include the file name, I always get index.html. I want to look at page 2, so I've actually got to write page2.html to be able to see it. So just pressing enter, and there we go. This says page 2. What's on the screen is page 2 as well, which matches what we've got here. And I'm just saving the template so I can copy and paste it for the number of pages I want to actually create. So that's creating a template. From now on, we'll start learning how to put content on the page and how to change it.